Hey ratbags, it's Jade. Today I'm talking about whether or not grounded is too difficult. I know this might seem like a bit of a stupid question, and there's not much we can really do about it, or the devs can do about it, even if it was true. The game's been out of its early access for a whole year nearly now. They're not necessarily going to make wholesale changes to the system, the way things play, or the map. I recently completed Grounded on Steam, legit for the first time, I know, shock horror, and I got all the achievements for it in my 100 days. If you haven't watched that already, go and check it out where I complete the game 100% in 100 days. And so I checked some of the stats of the achievements afterwards, and so few people have got anywhere close to completing Grounded. So I decided to dig even further and I checked out all the achievements on Xbox via True Achievements and a quick glance on the actual Xbox stats. There are some really interesting things to point out. I'm not going to cover everything, I've cut this video down significantly, but then I asked you guys for the vote about what you thought, if the game was too hard, too easy or just right. And yeah, bottom line, I think the game is too hard. I think it's clearly shown how little people actually complete certain parts of the game via achievements, that something needs to maybe change. I know that might not be for everyone, all you tryhards, all you pros, people that really love Grounded, you may find it simply okay. But to encourage newer players to get into the game even more, definitely needs to have some sort of rebalance or some things to help with either tutorials. It's nearly 6,000 votes, 10% of you said it's too easy to complete the game, 8% of you said it's too hard, and 61% of you said it's just about right, with 21% saying it's a bit up and down. By that I meant balancing. Sometimes the game can feel really too hard or too grindy, and then other times it's maybe a bit too easy. So I'm not really arguing with my poll statistics, however, the stats and the achievements don't actually go along with this. So you may be wondering why I'm not using simply the Xbox site to list and show all the achievements. There's something quite wrong with obviously the Xbox achievements measuring this on its own, because so many players that get these games for free with Game Pass, it massively reduces the number. Ark has been on the Games Pass for nearly 4 years now, yet only 2% of its player base has actually managed to complete the game. Only 17% of the player base has actually managed to ride a T-Rex, and only 32% of the players have actually tamed a dinosaur. Bearing in mind this is a game all about taming dinosaurs. So Grounded on Xbox alone via achievements is more or less the same. Some of these stats are massively low compared to what you'll find on Steam or through Xbox achievements sites that list how many achievements people have. How can only 9% of the population that have played Grounded completed just the hedge lab, one of the first hedge labs or labs that you get directed to? So on the True Achievements site this is 37%. Surely a much better approximation. And on Steam that's about 23% of the player base has managed to complete the hedge lab. Only 1% of players have managed to perform 10 perfect blocks in a row. Even with Games Pass and achievements being distorted, that is still probably a massively low number. Especially for a crucial part of the game where you literally cannot beat the infected broodmother without being able to perfect block very well, or even the Black Widows. It's around 13% on the True Achievement site, and only 3% of players are managing to do this on Steam. You guys get the idea. I don't want to make this an overly long video. The first time I recorded it, it was about 20 minutes, I kid you not. But if you go through the achievements, whether it's through the True Achievements, through Steam, through Xbox, it's clear to me that whatever way you try and get the average of all three, lots of these numbers are simply way too low. And that means there's something wrong or the balance is not right for Grounded. And this isn't a hate bait video, I'm just curious and interested in it because of my own struggles, of course, and seeing them achievements pop up, it made me think a little bit about it more. Obviously the game does a great job of letting you customise and play how you want. The fact you don't get penalised, you can actually have achievements on even if you make the game mild, hard or woe mode, whenever you want during your play. It doesn't affect the achievements. Only if you make a custom world or creative world does it turn the achievements off. So of course that's a big factor also of the Xbox version, particularly if lots of players are playing in custom mode or they're playing in creative mode, then yes, of course they're not going to get achievements, but they're going to be completing and doing a lot of the game. So that naturally increases the overall scope of the game of how many players are playing it and why these stats look so bad. So any game where you've got a huge amount of players not even getting through to the first quest or the first dungeon, players not able to craft tier 3 items as it suggests in a lot of these actual achievements too, then the scope of that game is simply a bit unbalanced or something's just not right. And of course I could be paying more attention to my own poll. 6,000 players isn't a huge amount, but it's still quite a good chunk of players, and you guys have been really good with my polls. But I know that you guys, majority of you, are pretty hardcore grounded players. So you're the ones that will comment and tell me something's too easy, you can kill the brood mother, whatever, super good. So it's going to be natural that a lot of you guys are just going to say it's okay or it's fine. I was surprised that 10% of you say it's too easy. Grounded to me is a fantastic game, and they've definitely improved things with the tutorials and directing you about where to go, what to do. But as we all know, I think I can confidently say this, some of the upgrading is a little bit janky in terms of where we get upgrades for certain things, basically having to complete the Black Ant dungeon to really get access to the really good stuff. Like sure, you get some base stuff and zip lines and ladders doing the hedge, bits and bobs for bases and rounded buildings for doing obviously the pond, and then of course you're going to get ovens and stuff from completing the haze. But to actually start really getting your weapons more powerful and getting your armour better, you do need to complete the Black Ant Hill, otherwise you're simply just going to run out the resources needed. And I've said this before, although I maybe didn't stress it enough in my 1.0 review, that they could probably do with moving some of the unlocks to one dungeon earlier. It's always been a bit confusing for me that we get the brittle whetstone and the brittle plating, as well as advanced smithing for the mighty globs, pretty much once we've completed the Black Ant Hill. To me that should be easily the haze, maybe even the pond lab that we get that stuff. If we go by the order that you do hedge first, pond lab second, haze third, and Black Ant Hill fourth. We get the ability to craft the brittle whetstone and plating out of bug resources and sap then, but we only get the recipe to go ahead and apply any of the sturdy plating if we've got any of the sturdy whetstone. We can't obviously make it ourselves. I feel like that's pretty confusing for players as well. The fact that you seemingly get 2 upgrades for 2 whole brand new tiers, but only one of them can you keep making forever. I'm not too sure they can even change some of this stuff. Like it would upset the fundamentals of the game maybe, and the game's been out in early access now a whole year. It'd be a bit late to be messing around with some of this stuff. But I am hopeful that they might listen to this video for anything else they're going to do in the future. To me, you're more than likely to go up to the picnic table before you go into the sandbox. We all know that obviously you got the shortcut into the sandbox from the picnic table via the zipline, so the picnic table should be where we get all the advanced flavours or the smithing flavoured globs. Not only after we've completed the Black Ant Hill, then run into the sandbox to find the secret lab. A lot of the achievements, which you can go and check for yourself, which show that a lot of people are just not getting anywhere close to crafting late game armour or weapons. Although I have to reiterate once again, I do understand people playing creative mode, or they may be able to change it into custom mode, and so they're just playing the game and doing lots of the game, but it's just not being recorded as achievements. I'm also taking into account comments that I've had a lot on videos, especially with all my guides and stuff, where players consistently say the game they find quite challenging. So that's my quick and ready solution, is to maybe guide players directly towards stuff a bit better, like smoothies. Beef smoothies and healing smoothies are like a crucial part of the game. Good luck trying to complete the game without them. Yet we only get them when we've done one of the second major dungeons. I mean, I know you can do it out of order. Again, I know this. I have to keep repeating I know this because I know this. But you get the idea. If you actually play it how the game is kind of directing you, then these are the markers when you do actually achieve this stuff. Now, the devs might say, actually, we don't guide you. We tell you you can go and do stuff out of order or whatever. But that's not strictly true. It is kind of that route that you have to take. My recent battles with the infected broodmother really brought it home to me. I know that is an optional creature. I didn't have any problems with it being super hard. I understood it was like a thank you to all these tryhards, all these double hard nut grounded players that have no problem beating creatures in the yard, and a real challenge for them. But it is incredibly tough to beat, and even Black Widows are still massively tough to beat, especially for players that can't seemingly perfect parry. I love the upgrade system. I love the fact that we can imbue our weapons with different abilities, and I don't mind that a lot of the bugs have certain weaknesses to it. It adds a bit more depth to the game, and it's definitely more like an RPG, but it is a bit complicated. We know now through the data miners info and stuff, there's so much information and there's so much going on under the hood that really a lot of these weapons and a lot of the stuff that's applied to it just doesn't really do the job it's meant to. I think for your average survival fan or your average RPG lover, then maybe grounded isn't a problem and it's just about the right type of balance. But for newer players, especially younger ones as well, I would say, or old goats like me, then yeah, I do think that sometimes the game could be made just tweaked a little bit. I don't really want them to reduce the health of enemies. I don't necessarily want them to be stronger in terms of the weapons that we have. I love the fact that the grounded devs balance. It upsets a lot of the hardcore players that they basically nerf stuff and take the fun away from builds, and I do get that sentiment. But to me, it's important to have balance all throughout the game for whatever style and what level player you are. And I've always entrusted in the devs knowing what they're doing with their own game. But clearly, from that data mined info, some stuff isn't right, where you get the sour stuff late game and it's meant to be a pretty OP kind of style of using. Turns out Mighty is pretty much always nearly better. If we are going to have a brand new DLC or like an expansion, a new map to explore, new bugs, new bosses, I just want that to be taken into account. Only 1% of players, or not even that, have managed to defeat the new Was Queen. And something like only 0.3% have even bothered to try and kill the infected broodmother. I'd love it if Grounded released some info. I'd love to see some more infographics from them telling us how many spiders have been killed in the backyard, what's everyone's favourite weapon, that idea. I always just want more people to play Grounded, but it definitely feels like a lot of players get into Grounded, they get beasted by a stink bug or a wolf spider within the first few days, maybe their base gets raided by a few creatures even if they're small now and they're pretty nerfed, and then they might give up, they get disheartened, or they haven't been given enough directions about where to go, or they haven't unlocked enough cool stuff early on in the game. The more people that stick with Grounded and realise the potential of so many great dungeons, a fantastic map to explore and really in-depth systems with the armour and the weapons, I think they definitely enjoy it more, but they're just kind of giving up by the looks of things to me. I could be completely wrong. As I said, some of the data is going to be skew-iffed by creative mode and obviously custom mode, but I think across the board it does show a little bit of a picture, and from the comments that you guys have told me that the game sometimes is too hard. You can agree, you can disagree with me, let me know why, what's been your toughest moment in Grounded, what do you think needs to change if anything, and as always, I'll be back with more info about Grounded very soon, just a little info one from me today. Until next time, bye bye.